Hey everyone, so it's Hearth and welcome back to my channel. So on today's video we are going to be doing another reaction. This time it is to Anthony Padilla's I Spent a Day with Real Witches. Now I want to say before we get started here that none of these reaction videos are designed to cause any harm to the people involved in the videos, not at all. They are not designed to bash or shame anyone involved. I just want to give a little bit of insight and my initial reaction to these videos about witches and witchcraft that are often made by someone from an outside perspective. I want to see what kind of content they include in and whether it's accurate or not for beginner witches or curious people who are just interested to learn a little bit more about witchcraft. So let's get on with the video. I'm going to shuffle to one side so I can put the screen right about here so that you guys can watch what I'm seeing as I'm seeing it. So just before I click play, I do want to say that I'm not going to be including the entirety of Anthony Padilla's video in this video. I want to make it so that you guys still have a reason to go to his channel and check it out. If you've never seen Anthony Padilla's work, he is so genuine in everything that he does, so I'm going to be curious to see how accurate this video is and how good his kind of representation is, because Anthony's videos are so darn good, they're so accurate, so his channel will be linked down below for anyone that wants to go and check it out for themselves.
Witches. Those believed to possess malignant supernatural powers and the ability to call upon spirits through the practice of witchcraft. The concept of witchcraft and the belief in its existence have persisted throughout recorded history in many diverse forms, including both primitive and highly advanced cultures, culminating in their modern depiction as evil, wart-nosed cackling beings riding through the sky on brooms wearing pointy hats. My name's Anthony Padilla, and today I'm going to be sitting down with witches to learn the truth behind this enigmatic world of the occult. Is the idea of evil witches in modern society merely a product of corporations capitalizing on our fascination with all things scary? Or is there a deeper, more sinister truth to these beings hiding within our society? Are witches just harmless people with vivid imaginations and a unique connection with our world? Or are they inherently evil devil worshippers who fantasize about sucking the souls dry of everyone around them for everything they're worth?
Okay, that intro was simultaneously amazing and also pretty accurate, actually. I really like that. A lot of the intros to these videos are like, are they evil cackling witches that live in, the wilderness and steal children? Or are they just people with, fantasies and like dressing up? Whereas that was actually a lot more accurate. That was like, it's a very long tradition that's been around for as long as human civilization has been able to keep records. And I really like, straight away there, he's like, this is the actual history of witchcraft compressed down into like 10 seconds. So I really like that. The only thing I dislike with that is that the only two options he gave were, are they evil or are they just people with strong imaginations? I mean, yeah, a lot of witches do have strong imaginations and strong visualization skills, but it's a bit more than just having a strong imagination, if that makes any sense. So yeah, we have imagination, like everyone does, but there's something more spiritual and more energetic behind that than just someone that has a strong imagination that believes in something that isn't real, that kind of thing. So I wish there were more options. But I know that Anthony only does give two options at the start of his videos anyway, so kind of makes sense that those were the two that were given. It's just, I suppose, if you've never seen any of Anthony's videos before, you might be a bit iffy with that, but I do know that he does only give two options at the start of his videos, so it makes sense.
Hi, Monica.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Hey, Dylan.
Okay, yay, okay. So in one of the last reactions that I did, it was to Skylife's video. I will link it up here in the playlist with the rest of my reaction videos if you guys want to see it. And Mystic Dylan was in that video as well. And if you've already seen that video, you will know that I thoroughly appreciate Mystic Dylan. His practice is amazing. I love him. He's fantastic. He's so knowledgeable, so I'm so happy that he's in this. One, because Mystic Dylan is amazing, and 2, he's really good male representation as well, which I thoroughly appreciate. A lot of people still, to this day, do believe that witchcraft is solely for women. It's something that I see on an almost daily basis. So the more videos like Anthony Padilla's and like Skylife's video that contain male witches, the better, because it gives that kind of representation. Unfortunately, still to this day, there's a lot of only female representation. I mean, I'm part of that, you know, because I have a YouTube channel, I am part of that female representation. And unfortunately, there isn't the same male representation or the same alternative representation. It seems to just be female. So I thoroughly appreciate any video that has male representation or has anything other than female representation in it, because then people can look at the video and see themselves in it, rather than just seeing women in it. So not only do we have a male representation in this video, but so far there's also been a more mature woman in the video as well, which I really like. A lot of the times it is just late teens, early 20s women in these videos. So I really appreciate that you've got male representation and also more mature representation, which I thoroughly appreciate. We always need more of that.
Hi, Shauna.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Thank you so much for coming out. So what do you consider yourself? A witch? A magical being?
A witch, definitely a witch.
I'm a witch. Technically and more specifically, I'm a strega, meaning
Strega.
that I practice Italian witchcraft. Strega is the Italian word for witch.
Witch.
Witch?
Definitely witch.
Just witch?
Yeah. There are a lot of misconceptions about that word, and like, I guess a lot of males are like, I'm sure you heard of like warlock and wizard.
Yeah.
Warlock means traitor, and wizard is just some Harry Potter shit.
What does being a witch entail?
Okay, I love that. I love that so much. Like, yes, straight to the point there. Witch, strega witch, witch. I really like that because Dylan is always very upfront in these videos, and I really appreciate that. It's really refreshing. And he's right, there is so much confusion around the word witch and who it can be used to represent. Witch, especially nowadays, is a gender-neutral word. It doesn't matter where it originated from. Witch is gender-neutral. You can use it whatever you choose to present as. Whatever you represent, you can use the word witch. Man, woman, non-binary, you can choose to use the term witch to describe you regardless. So I really like the fact that Dylan straight in there is like, witch, definitely witch, even though there's lots of misunderstanding, I'm a witch, which I really like. I also like the fact that you have a strega in there as well. Strega is Italian witchcraft. I really, really like it. It's a really interesting topic. It's so fascinating to delve into. Some of my favourite authors actually are Strega, which I really like that they added it in because it adds a different layer onto it, because a lot of the time in these videos it's a lot of Wiccans, which I'm going to say it again, is not inherently bad, not at all. Sometimes I wish there were more people represented than just witches who are also Wiccan. So I like in this straight away you've got male representation, you've got mature representation, you also have strega, which I really, really appreciate.
It encompasses being connected with nature, doing rituals for the full moons and the holidays.
Being a witch is being, one, the rebel, because you're standing out against the crowd, and two, it's incorporating magic into your daily life.
How long have you been a witch?
Over 10 years.
I would say that I've been a strega for about 5 years.
I think I was born a witch, to
You
be
were
honest with you.
born one?
Yeah. As a teenager, not knowing what I was doing, just like this inner thing prompted me to, like, the full moon is out, go gather something, some leaves, put yourself in a circle, put some candles around. I didn't know what I was doing until I formally really studied.
Is being a witch something you did?
Okay, I can really like that. I really like that. So although I personally don't believe that anyone is genetically a witch, as far as there is no gene to practice witchcraft, because it's a practice, it's something you study. I do, however, believe that people can be more inclined to witchcraft than other people. And in this case, I'm in a similar boat to the last lady that spoke, being that some people will not study. Instead, it's something that they do, like, intrinsically. It's just something that they just are naturally drawn to. They almost automatically know what to do, and then from that they will just study and learn, and then they'll realize afterwards. That was the situation I was in when I was younger. I know lots of you guys were as well, whereas there's some people in this that studied and then chose to start practicing witchcraft. So I like the balance of both there. I can really appreciate that.
Decide to be, or are you just born that way?
I believe it's a calling, just like a Catholic priest or a nun gets called to the clergy.
Essentially, witchcraft, the basis of witchcraft is that you're doing some element of folk magic. So no, you're not born a witch. There's no hierarchy. There's no like, it's in my DNA, because technically it's in everyone's. I'm sure you've had birthday parties and you've had candles and you've made a wish and you've blown on that candle to make a wish. We all do.
That's
Okay.
part of American culture.
That's witchcraft.
That's witchcraft.
Okay, yeah, no, I immediately am so happy with this video so far. It's fantastic so far. Straight away, a lot of misconceptions being dispelled. That's 2 of the 3 straight away saying, you know, it's not something that you are, it's something you have a calling to. And a lot of our culture, regardless of where you are in the world, even Western culture, a lot of it is based on preconceived magical ideals. So a lot of the things that you find within Abrahamic religions, a lot of it actually comes from the pre-Christian traditions that came before it. You find that a lot of our social traditions, you know, touch wood, blowing out birthday candles, it largely comes from witchcraft foundations. So all of us have the ability to study and practice witchcraft. It's whether or not we choose to take that step to do that. But equally, almost every single person has experienced some kind of magical working during their life, even if they didn't realize what it was. So you saying touch wood, you throwing salt over your shoulder, you blowing out a birthday candle and making a wish, you blowing a daffodil head, you blowing a, what are they called? They're not daffodils, they're not daisies, they're those dandelions. You blowing a dandelion head and making a wish, all of that is intrinsically rooted in witchcraft in one form or another. So almost everyone has at least a little bit of experience in witchcraft, just a smidgen. Everyone has the ability to practice it, but it's very much a calling. Some people are drawn to it from an exceptionally young age. Some people find it later on in their life and find that that is the thing that they should be doing. That is their calling. So you'll find that a lot of witches, although they come into it at different stages of their life, a lot of the time they'll all experience the same kind of deep down attraction to it. Even if maybe at the time they didn't realize what they were doing, later on they researched and they kind of came to understand what it is that they were drawn to.
That's witchcraft.
Anthony's face here, oh my god, accidentally practiced witchcraft for 32 years. That's the thing, a lot of people will say, and you will hear, I've heard people say this in person, oh, I would never touch that stuff. And yet, you've been probably blowing out birthday candles, and you've been making your children and your grandchildren blow out birthday candles and make a wish, or wishing on a shooting star. That's all witchcraft. You just didn't call it witchcraft because that made it more socially acceptable.
Are there certain rules that you have to follow in order to be a witch?
The important thing to remember is the rule of 3, which is anything that you do comes back.
The law of 3, the rule of 3, that is part of Wiccan tradition. Witches don't have to follow that. It's not part of, there's no intrinsic rule over witchcraft that says you cannot do harm to others or it will come back to you 3 times. That just doesn't exist. It is a part of Wiccan tradition. So the religion of Wicca has a set of moral guides. A lot of these were created much, much later when it came to the Wiccan Rede. A lot of people don't know this, but the Wiccan Rede was actually written far later than the Wiccan religion was created. It was 20, 30 years later when the Wiccan Rede was added in. And in that it talks about, and ye harm none, do what ye will. Except that was never a part of the original Wiccan religion. That was added in later. The law of 3, the rule of 3, it applies to some Wiccans, those who choose to incorporate that in their magical practice, depending on their specific sect or path that they've gone down, because Wicca now has so many different paths that people can choose. But as for witchcraft, there are no pre-existing rules unless you choose to add them. So some people will believe in karma. Some people will believe in the rule of 3. Some people believe that things return 7-fold, 10-fold, 12-fold, 20-fold. It really all depends on the practitioner. So I'm not such a fan of that being included in here because that definitely does not apply to every practitioner unless they follow a specific tradition or religion that includes something like the rule of 3 or the law of 3.
Times 3. So not only are you going to get shoved, but you're probably going to get punched in the face.
Negativity begets more negativity against yourself.
Exactly.
Or are you actually able to perform magic?
Absolutely. We want to shut someone up, right? So someone's talking bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get a cow tongue.
Do you have to go there and rip it out yourself? Where do you get?
See, this is why I love Dylan so much, right? He's so not the mamby-pamby type. Like, that maybe makes no sense if you don't live in England. Mamby-pamby is like when someone like beats around the bush. Like, rule of 3 and ye harm none, do what you will. Whereas Dylan is straight in there with, he doesn't immediately go to abundance working or love spell or happiness or peace. No, he goes straight to a shut up working with a cow tongue and the burying of it. Like, now that that is what I really appreciate, because a lot of people in these videos will be like, love spell, money working, happiness, joy. No, Dylan straight in there with the shut up spell with the cow tongue. I love it, straight from the butchers. Oh my god.
Yeah, I go deep into the woods. I find a cow.
Where do you get these?
Ralph's.
Ralph sells cow tongue for you to
Ralph's.
perform your magic with?
They know me. The tongue would represent the tongue of whoever's talking slander. So then you would make a slit in the tongue. You would write the person's name. I would use a few ingredients and herbs. I'd put that into the tongue. I go out into a park and I bury it. The thought process is that by doing that, you're correlating or tying the energy of whoever's talking gossip to that tongue, and that the more that they would talk slander and gossip, the more bad luck that they would bring upon themselves until they are forced to apologize or make amends in some way.
I love how Dylan in this is just straight in there with the shut up working. I really appreciate it. It's nitty, it's gritty, it's lower, it's rough, it's rugged, it's traditional folk magic. And that involves you getting your hands dirty. So I really like the fact that they included it in this. A lot of people are too scared to talk about this kind of magic. And it's sad because this is the raw, emotional, intense magic that is probably my favorite of all of them. You know, people are very happy to talk about the ceremonial magic, and especially in videos like this, a lot of people will beat around the bush and they'll talk about the candle magic and the mojos and the sachets and the dream spells. Very few people will have the balls to talk about something like this because you get a lot of backlash when you talk about this, but this is the real shit. This is amazing. I can stan a traditional witch on these videos. Like, I really like this. Not that the others are not doing their own thing, because obviously you don't know that much about their practice just from the small little bit of interviews that you see, but this, chef's kiss to you, Dylan. This is brilliant.
Do you find that people are typically skeptical of your beliefs and your powers?
My husband is totally non-magical. He just puts up with all of my weird stuff, but then he'll text me when he's at work and be like, hey, this thing happened, can you throw some cards on it? Like, that is his thing.
He doesn't believe
but he
any
doesn't
of it?
believe in it. He'll be like, nah, I have a lot of clients I've been counseling lately. Can we do a candle to kind of fix that? I'm like,
Right.
yeah, sure, no problem.
So you think people believe more than they say they do?
Absolutely.
Why do you think witches are
Okay, yeah, I can for sure agree with that. People believe more than they will admit that they believe. I find that one quite a lot. People are very quick to go, that's all nonsense, but then when they're in need, who's the person that they call first? The witch. They will always, it's in their back of their mind. We are almost trained in our society to disbelieve things that are not scientifically proven. It's almost ingrained in us that we are not meant to believe these things. They are for children, they are for fairy tales, they're for movies. And yet, there is still that little bit in everyone that when they desperately need help, they will go to the witch and they will see if they can help. Because there's something in everyone, I think, that believes even just a little bit. But I do think, and I have found that a lot of people believe more than they would let on in other circumstances anyway. Most people that I speak to about it, if I make friends with someone, it is, they ask what I do for a living, and then quite quickly the jig is up and I have to kind of tell them that I run a witchcraft shop and I also teach witchcraft on YouTube. Like, quite quickly they realise, and I have to say, now compared to 5-10 years ago, people are a lot more interested. I've actually noticed that quite considerably. People nowadays, I say nowadays like it's been a long time, people now are much more willing to show their interest and to talk about it and to ask you questions than they were in 2010. It's been a massive shift, and I think that that is in part due to videos like this showing normal people that it's okay to be curious about it. You know, it's not something horrible, it's not something terrible. You can ask questions, and the people that practice witchcraft, they're not going to bite your head off and steal your soul. We're quite happy to chat about it. And some of us are very open about our practice because we want to dispel misconceptions. So definitely now people are far more willing to believe than they were a decade ago, that's for damn sure. I've noticed that one personally, and it's probably because more and more positive press is coming out about witchcraft. You know, YouTube has been a massive assistant for that. You know, YouTube, Tumblr, Instagram, it's helped open people's eyes to it as a reality, not as a fantasy.
Can you immediately recognize another witch? Do you have good witch-dar?
You would be amazed at who's a witch. I mean, I know lawyers, doctors, teachers. I even knew a Catholic priest that actually came to a ritual. So, I mean, witches don't have to have a certain look. They can look just like you or anybody here, or the person next to you on the train.
How has being a witch shaped your perspective of the world?
I have seen all the prejudice.
So that straight away is another one that is really big. A lot of people will throw around but you don't look like a witch. And we're always looking back at them going, yeah, but what does a witch look like? We're not green, we don't have long noses. I mean, I do have quite a pointy nose, but we don't have like long noses and warts and a pointed hat, and we don't wear like medieval garb, you know. Guaranteed, anyone watching this, you will have probably walked past at least a handful of witches in your life, and guaranteed you likely won't have noticed anything different about them. Like, some of us, yes, we wear our charms, we wear our rings, we might wear a lot of crystals, a lot of jewelry. A lot of witches do wear a lot of jewelry. Men, women, whatever you represent as or whatever you present as, a lot of us do wear jewelry just because we like shiny things. You know, some of us might dress differently. You know, some people would say that I dress quite differently. I dress quite oddly, some might say, but equally that doesn't make me any more likely to be a witch than the lawyer or the teacher or the doctor or the vet or, you know, the lecturer or the lab tech. Like, you have probably walked past 5 to 10 minimum witches in your life, and you likely didn't know any different. And that is the amazing thing. So many people are shocked when they realize that witches can really be and look like anyone.
That comes with being a witch. And I think because of that, I see prejudice everywhere. To me, it's made me more open-minded.
So because people are judgmental of you, you're like, there's no reason to be judgmental of me. In fact,
right. There's no reason to be judgmental of anyone.
What's the most difficult part about being a witch?
Acceptance, people accepting who you are and what you stand for. That's the most difficult part.
And how does that make you feel when you receive that harsh criticism or judgment?
You know, I kind of, by this time part of my life, I just kind of let it roll off the back, because I always say, I know who I am. And it's okay if you don't know who I am, but I know who I am, and that's all that
Do
matters.
you think there's so often such an adverse reaction about witches in our society?
Because they're uneducated. Because people don't know what witchcraft really is. You know, they found out from Disney, sorry Disney, and, you know, portraying the witches as evil. Every witch is evil. In the cartoons, you know.
The word witch can be used to negatively, to insult someone as well.
Yes, and I do that sometimes too.
You're guilty of that?
witch, you know, in a bad way, you know.
Leslie Sanchez wants to know if you've ever had one of your spells come true.
I would say my average, about 85, 90%.
I did a spell for a very specific amount of money and I had a deadline. I'm like, I need this money or better. About 2 hours before my deadline, I got approved for a loan that I did not think I was gonna get. I'm like, what? Then a week later, I got an unexpected check for the amount that I specifically asked for.
That would make me 100% a believer.
That was where I was like, oh my God, I'm a witch. I'm a witch.
That was the moment.
That was the moment.
See, this is the thing that always really confuses me in all of this, right? I get it on this channel, I'm sure a lot of you get it in real life, is, yeah, but have you ever had a spell actually come true? And it's like, dude, do you really think I'd still be here after 15 years if I hadn't seen a result? Like, do you really think we would be wasting our time? For some people, they've been doing it for their entire lives. So many people ask that question and I don't understand why.
Can witches actually live forever?
Yes.
Yes?
I was born in 1692. No, I'm kidding. So the ancient Egyptians believe in immortality as long as someone speaks about you. So that's why I think you have this idea of living forever. It's because your family name lives forever.
Couldn't you argue that through the power of marriage, your name technically lives forever through
There
your
we
family?
go. Yeah.
Only the men
Actually, really, only
live
the men
forever if you think
live
about
forever.
it. Iris Lynn wants to know how often people assume you're satanic or that you worship the devil because of the fact that you're a witch.
I actually had a client 2 weeks ago, lovely person. I did a candle for them, it worked. And they came back to me and they're like, you know, I just want to let you know, like, I know that you use the devil in your craft, but I really don't care because it got me to do what I want to do. I was like, wait, what? First of all, don't give the devil credit for my work.
Oh my God. That is the best line ever. Like, no, don't give the devil credit for my work. That is amazing. It's so true though, like there's a lot of people even today, even if they aren't Christian themselves, even if they don't follow an Abrahamic religion, that will genuinely believe that witches work with the devil, even though 90% of us don't even believe he exists. Let's put it that way, like, you're not going to work with something if you don't believe it exists, and a lot of witches simply don't believe that the devil exists. So a lot of people still believe that, even to this day. A lot of beginners will go, I'm really interested in witchcraft, but I really don't want to get into Satanism. I'm like, there's so much wrong with that sentence. That's not really what Satanism is, and that's definitely not what witchcraft is. Like, yes, there are some witches that do work with the devil. There are some that do, just like there are some that work with the Christian God. There are some that work with Celtic deities. There are some that work with Norse deities. There are some that work with ancestors, demons, angels, spirits, fae. You know, you're always going to find a small category that does work in that area, but that doesn't apply to all of us, even though a lot of people do genuinely believe it does.
Maya Papaya wants to know if you've ever tried to use a spell to hurt someone.
No. No. Okay, I'm lying. When before I knew what I was doing. I had this one teacher that was just really nasty and abrasive to me, and I was like, you know what, I'm done with her.
Yeah.
So me and a friend got together and we did a little thing, and then when we went back to school on Monday, she wasn't there.
Did you ever find out what happened to her?
Yeah, it was her father, who had the same initials as her, was in the hospital.
And you cast a spell with her initials?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow, yeah.
There are hexes and there are curses and there are things like that.
Yeah.
I just think that sometimes people need a kick in the ass. Here's when I realized that I was a witch and witchcraft worked. There was this chick, Bridget, in middle school, and she was a One day, I was reading this book, and it was like, if you want to remove someone from your life, you did a binding on them, or you sent them away, and you got a piece of their hair, and you tied their hair in 9 knots, and then you flushed it down the toilet.
Okay.
Okay, so I sat right behind Bridget one day, and got her hair, tied it 9 knots, flushed it down the toilet, and get this, I kid you not, within 2 weeks, she got in a fight with some other dude, and they had to do like, it's one or the other. Someone has to leave the class and get transferred to another class. So they put their names in a hat, and they shook the hat, and they pulled out her name, and she got sent to the other class, and I was like, I'm a witch.
See, it's a really funny thing actually, because I find that a lot of people realize that magic is successful when it comes to binding spells. So I've done a couple of binding spells. I've spoken about my probably most successful one because it was nearly blooming instantaneous. Binding spells are just so potent because there's so much energy and emotion and like hatred in some cases that goes behind them. And some people are gonna hate me for saying this, but sometimes you gotta put a little hate into your workings. You know, you gotta do it. I'm not all love and light. Like, it's fine if you are. I'm just not. That's just not me. And I remember doing this binding spell and I was so angry. Like, I was so angry at this person. I did the binding spell, and when it was all done, I put it in Caridwen's altar. I put it in the cauldron on her altar, and legit, the person just disappeared. Like, they're still around, but for the amount of time that I did the working for, they just vanished. They just disappeared out of people's lives that I wanted them to leave alone. And none of the people had any idea why they left. Literally, the day I did that working, they went like MIA for 2.5 months. No one knew what was going on. They just left everyone alone until I stopped the working. And it was one of them like, oh shit, yeah, I got this kind of moments. And I find a lot of people, wow, that expression of emotion right there. A lot of people have that kind of success with binding spells. It's that there's so much energy and so much power and emotion and rage or anger or frustration, one of these super intense emotions that go into it, that a lot of people will have amazing results in binding spells.
What do you think the biggest misconception about witches is?
One, that we are tied into the supernatural, that we can manipulate things for real, that we levitate, or that we actually believe that we can do that.
Yes, you have no idea. Legit, on a daily basis, I get about 15 emails. Some of it's emails, some of it's DMs, some of it's forum messages, Facebook messages of someone saying, I want to learn how to throw fireballs with my mind, or I want to learn how to levitate. And the number of times, I just have an automated response now. I legit just have a copy and paste automated response. It happens so often. People have this genuine integral belief that witches are somehow tied in, like innately, to the supernatural, and that we are capable of doing things that are found in this supernatural belief, whether that be flying or levitation or teleportation. I mean, there's astral projection, but that's about as far as you get. Or throwing fireballs, controlling the waves and the ocean, and, you know, turning water into ice on command. And we don't, for anyone that's curious about that. We're able to alter the energy around us. We're able to send out energy to gain a magical response back. We are not able to break natural laws. That applies to everyone. Natural laws exist even for witches. We are no different than anyone else. We can't do what cannot be done without magic. So yeah, there are things like astral projection. Anyone can learn to astral project, but we cannot throw a fireball with magic or miraculously create something out of nothing. It's a big misconception that never really gets addressed, and I'm glad it is being addressed in this.
That we are evil and that we hurt people and, eat babies and drink blood.
I have a...
So that was Anthony Padilla's video, I Spent a Day with Real Witches. Now at the very end there, I'm actually kind of sad they didn't include it. They had like a little workshop with each of them. So obviously we saw Dylan's bone throwing. But there were others as well that they did, and I'm kind of sad that they didn't include them in this video. I mean, it's only 14 minutes long. I kind of wish he'd have added those in as well to kind of give us an example of what the other people's practice was as well, because in all of that, we got a little taste of Dylan's practice, but not very much for the other two, so I kind of wish they'd have added that in as well. That would have been really, really nice. Overall though, that was probably one of the best videos I have watched on witchcraft. Like, I loved Skylife's video on Witchcraft. I've forgotten what it was called. It's linked up here anyway if you guys want to go watch that video and me reacting to that video. This was definitely up there with that video, if not on par, maybe even maybe a smidgen above, you know, just a smidgen. That was really, really good. I really liked that. It was very down to earth. Anthony is an amazing interviewer, and I think that really comes through. A lot of the videos that I've watched on this subject, it's the edit, it's the interviewer that makes it difficult for the person being interviewed to get their point fully across and to give their honest truth about it to someone that maybe doesn't understand. In this, Anthony is amazing, the editing is amazing, it portrays everyone in the right light, which some of the other videos definitely don't do. And it gives a very basic general overview without all of the faff, without all of the fakeness that comes with a lot of these videos. So that to me was fantastic. The witches being chosen, wonderful, really appreciate them. I like the diversity with it, I like the range, I liked everything that was included in it. The only thing I wish it was longer, and I wish they'd included in those workshops because they would have been fantastic in there as well. So yeah, honestly, that has left me feeling so good. I did a reaction earlier today and it left me feeling really, technical term, that's exactly how I felt after I watched that video. This one has left me feeling really positive, really upbeat, really uplifted. I really, really like this video. So if you want to see this video in full for yourself, please do. Please go support Anthony. Please go to support everyone in this video. It was truly, truly fantastic. Yes, I didn't agree with absolutely everything that everybody said, but I don't have to. Everyone's practice is slightly different. Everybody has a slightly different outlook on things. What I liked was that everyone was their honest self. Everyone was being truthful to their own practice, and that is key. That is the best way to get the honest truth about witchcraft out there for everybody to see. So, big thumbs up to this video. I really like it. The full video will be linked down in the description box if you guys want to go and check it out. Check out everyone's Instagram pages, check out everyone's podcasts. There's a lot going on there. I really, really like this video. If you did enjoy it, feel free to give it a like. It really, really means so much to me. If you have any other videos that you would like me to react to, please feel free to stick it down in the comment section. I have already done BuzzFeed, I've done Skylife, I've done Anthony Padilla, and there is another that I'm not sure whether it's actually going to go out or not. There's quite a few that I'll put in a playlist at the end of the video if you do want to check them out. But if you have any others, feel free to let me know because I like doing these reaction videos. It's quite fun actually, it's a good way to spend an afternoon. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do have any questions, comments, concerns, video ideas, or just want to chit chat with the community down in the comment section, feel free to post a comment. And if you do enjoy the magical content on this channel or in this video, feel free to hit subscribe. I do try my best to post magical content every Wednesday and every Saturday at 6 p.m. And if you want to keep up with me on a day-to-day basis, feel free to follow my Instagram. I will put it at the bottom of the screen here because not that many people realize it's there. So come and join me on there so you can have a chit chat with me during the day if you wanted to. Okay, I hope you guys have a marvelous magical day. I hope that your magic is successful and I will see you in the next video. Bye!